If you have to summarize the future of transportation in one word, it's going to be autonomous. That is going to be the biggest benefit and technological revolution. The biggest part is it's a combination of the technologies I care deeply about. So drones, one element, blockchain, another element, and distributed and a trusted ecosystem in a trustless environment. I think those are the key elements of the ecosystem I predict, and since DAV touches all of them, I think that's the most exciting part. I think it's not a question of if or why. I think it's a question of like where, when, and how. In today's day and age, I mean, I firmly believe not a single entity has all the elements to win. I mean, nobody can eat alone. You have to share the pie, especially when it's considering the disruptive technologies and uncertainties associated with those technologies, right? So, I mean, nobody knows the future, like how it's going to evolve. There are regulatory elements, there are geopolitical elements in the mix, there are human elements in the mix, and there are technology elements in the mix. So, in the big scheme of things, yes, it's absolutely essential that companies have to collaborate and kind of move ahead with everybody's combined shared best interest in mind. As part of my Cisco stint, I was working on disruptive technologies, especially trying to create the holistic strategy around the drone market segment. So drones, artificial intelligence, blockchain, robotics, those are the areas I was kind of looking into. The network movement happening around these technologies, right, which is kind of spreading across like different segments and different innovation methodologies, so as to speak. So from Cisco's perspective, I was looking into more of a build, buy, partner, invest, and co-create as the tools. There are various ways of maturing a particular technology, and one size does not fit all. So how do we make sure that there is a right tool for the right job? So in the interest of time, obviously, like we are trying to maximize our effort and make a difference in the industry. I think it's working together as an industry with various kinds of players, right? The big companies, the startup ecosystem, academia partners, there are a bunch of different profiles. So how do you work together as a team in a collaborative fashion? Other area is more of a broad spectrum of technology along with the depth in certain areas as well. Because I believe like no single technology is going to succeed on its own. It's always going to be some mix of technology. So drones and blockchain and AI together, for example. So there's always a combination and inner working, the dynamics of different technologies at play. So based on my experience, more diverse experience in a variety of the fields, I think that's going to be much more valuable into making these initiatives more successful. Historically speaking, we are kind of removing the human elements as much as possible and kind of putting in machine elements, less error prone, whether it's human transportation or transportation of goods in the supply chain area. It's going to be much more distributed. So those are like interesting combinations we are going to see moving forward, especially when systems are talking to other systems. It's like a machine to machine interaction, and that brings to actually the challenge part as well, because machine to machine is like easy to figure out in a way, but human beings are the more complex piece of the puzzle. So there are like different regulatory environments, geopolitical impacts. So whenever the first touch point or the last touch point happens between humans and machines, I think those are going to be the more complicated areas to deal with. Like today, if I'm calling a taxi company or I'm calling my friend, it's an increased level of awareness that who that person is. And if I'm talking to just a machine, I have lesser degree of confidence. So how do I deal with that reduced levels of confidences, but at the same time go expecting the higher value in the service at a lower price points? So there is going to be an interesting interplay between the human-based interactions and machines at the first or the last touch points. Today we are ordering services that are operated by humans using machines. In the future, I think it's going to be more of a humans directly ordering machines to do certain tasks, or even machines ordering other machines to do certain tasks. It's like, why should humans worrying about charging those drones? Why can't they charge themselves? Like, I mean, this Roomba had done a pretty good job of like at least initiating along those lines. There's robotic vacuum, like, okay, whenever you're running out of juice, like, go and dock yourself, right? I mean, that's how it should be. It's much more intuitive that a device must know its needs and how to basically fulfill those needs, and how to pay for those services, how to negotiate, and how to have those contractual bindings and obligations fulfilled. So I think this increased level of new kinds of interactions between non-human elements, that's going to be fascinating in the future.